everyone, welcome back. For today's video, I'm here with another Top 5 Wednesday, and the topic for this week is classics that I wish had a modern adaptation. And I'm going to be totally honest here in that I have not read a ton of classic books. I've definitely read several, we all have those that we're assigned to read in high school and college. My mom had me read a few when I was growing up, and I picked up a few here or there, but it's just not a genre that I've really dug into. I guess I am reading a bit more with some more sci-fi, but that was kind of the point. So in any case, I feel like I'm kind of new to the classic genre, and so I couldn't really come up with a full 5 books that I really truly would like to see a modern adaptation of. So I have 3 picked out with that in mind, and then I picked out a few others that I'm either really excited for or that I would recommend. I'll start off with the books that are the correct answer for this prompt, and the first of which is The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula K. Le Guin. This is one that I did read recently for some more sci-fi, and I did really enjoy it. I love Ursula K. Le Guin's writing, and I just feel really fortunate to live in the same area that she once did. It's very, I just feel cooler being in this general part of the country because of her. As background, this story takes place on an alien world. It has a different name, but it's sort of nicknamed Winter, so I always just think of it as Winter in my head. And the people who live on Winter are able to change their sex. And the struggle that I had with this book is that it lumps sex and gender together. It's lumped together in a way that current times we know is not true, it's not accurate. They're 2 different things. And so the book says that they're able to change their gender by switching their physical body parts in different phases of their lives. And on top of that, they also use the gender-neutral he, which, let's just use a gender-neutral pronoun. I know that this book was written with the understandings and the terminology of the times that it was written in, and that is why I would just love to read a modern adaptation of it that's using current gender-neutral pronouns, they, them, Z, zir, something along those lines, and that isn't put in such a cis-sexist box of gender equals sex or sex equals gender. I think that this book had really revolutionary ideas, and it was kind of a big deal to have a gender-bending type of book back in the 70s or whenever this was written, 60s, 70s, something like that. But yeah, I just would love to see a modern version. Next is a classic book that is lesser known, but that has had a really big impact on my life, and that is The Well of Loneliness by Radcliffe Hall. This is considered to be the first lesbian novel ever published. It was published back in 1928, and then it was immediately banned, but it was published for a minute there in 1928. And I have a separate video that talks all about this book and the tattoo that I have that was inspired by this book, so I will put that linked up top and down below if you want to check that out and learn a bit more about the book. But I would really love to see a modern adaptation of this one just because it is so near and dear to my heart. Perhaps one in which our main character has a better time, and instead of living in this world that is completely against her, maybe she lives in a world that's very embracing and very welcoming and loving and idyllic. Basically one of Becky Chambers' worlds. Becky Chambers, will you please write a retelling of this book, please? It can just be like Buckets of Happiness instead of Well of Loneliness. That would be great. Just please. Yes. And the third classic I don't actually have a physical copy of, but that is The Princess Bride by William Goldman. And basically I would just like to see the exact same story, but gay. That's just a wish deep in my heart. So that's all. And those are all of the retellings that I could really come up with as once, but I will now share with you a few that I have read or that I'm excited to read that already exist. So you can get on that. And the first of these is the Penelopiad by Margaret Atwood, which is a feminist retelling of the Odyssey by Homer, but all from the perspective of Penelope, who was Odysseus's wife. I don't actually have a great grasp of Greek mythology and history. I've never read the Odyssey, but there was enough of a synopsis on Goodreads or Wikipedia or what have you that I was able to just browse through that, and then I was able to get a lot of the tongue-in-cheek things that were happening in this book. So I would highly recommend this. It's probably even better if you have read the Odyssey, but it's, as I said, enjoyable even if you have not. Next, I have Jane Steele by Lindsay Fay, which is gothic retelling of Jane Eyre. This one I have not actually read, but I've been super excited to read it at some point. It's just one of those, so hopefully eventually I'll get to it. But this retelling is set in Victorian times where Jane is a serial killer. But my understanding is that she's sort of a Dexter-style serial killer where she is killing people who are doing terrible things. I believe specifically abusive men, and so that's kind of her thing. And then also, she ends up going to live with someone who is looking, I think, to get married. There's a romance in there. It sounded like it was going to be a really fun ride. So I'm really looking forward to picking this one up at some point in the future. And if you are looking for a retelling of Jane Eyre, I've got you covered. So technically that's 5, but as we all know, I'm not very good at sticking with a specific number of things I'm supposed to list. So I have a 6th book that I also want to add here. Specifically, I thought that since October was coming up, you guys might be looking for a retelling more on the spooky side, and therefore you might enjoy Creatures of Will and Temper by Molly Tanzer. This is a retelling of The Picture of Dorian Gray, and it's set in a very spooky Victorian London, and it involves demons and demon huntings and stuff, and you can kind of tell just from the cover it's got a pretty spooky vibe, and I just thought it was fun. This book was actually sent out in the penultimate book bath box, so you may even already have a copy if you got that box, but if not, I definitely recommend picking it up. I think the 2nd book is actually coming out soonish. I wanted to say it was coming out in October or November, something like that, so yeah, check it out if you are looking for a spookier type retelling and you are into such things. And that concludes this edition of Top 5 Wednesdays, where I didn't really stick to the prompt or the 5. Yeah, and possibly not even Wednesday, because I'm recording this on a Wednesday evening, so it's possibly going up Thursday. We will see. In any case, I just like to break the rules, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you found a few books that you didn't know of and might enjoy, but let me know down in the comments if you have any books that you are really excited about that are retellings, or if you have books that you wish would be retellings, or any of the things. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you'd like to see more. I hope you all are having a fabulous week so far, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!